Do you know, going back on the trivia thing, do you know the Phantom's real name?
No.
Not even sure.
I know it's like a pirate. Like, well, are you talking about like the name of the Phantom that we see in the Phantom? Because it's a legacy thing.
Yeah, but like, it's kind of a trick question.
Because he's like Captain, I almost said the pirate name from Princess Bride.
What was his name?
Like Dread or something.
Dread Pirate Robinson.
Yeah.
The Dread Pirate Robinson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Swear I haven't been drinking. So originally for the serial, his name was Jeffrey Prescott. But then in the actual comic series, his name, and in the movie, his name is Kit Walker.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. And I don't know why I remember that. So, I mean, the reason I remember that so well is because when the bad guy and Phantom, when Kit meet and they're introduced, the bad guy really says, "So, Kit Walker." Like
Kit Walker.
He has like a problem with his name being Kit, you know, because he's like, that was a good bad guy.
I really don't remember the movie that well.
He was really like, I don't know, like.
I just remember having my Phantom ring and walking around with that.
That'd be cool to have. I want a Phantom ring.
You said you had one, I thought. Like the metal Phantom ring with a skull.
Did I?
I said I had a while ago. I was like, I remember I had the Phantom ring. And you're like, so did I. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. Are you a liar? Were you gaslighting me?
Yeah.
Were you just trying to be cool?
Always.
Hang out with the cool kids?
Maybe I just felt left out. 'Cause I don't remember having a Phantom ring.
You're like, I have one too, man.
I have to ask my mom about that. She would know. This is Tommy.
This is Jacob.
This is Tommy and Jacob's mixtape.
Monster Squad. The fucking
That was terrible. I was gonna do Monster Mash.
Monster Mash. Yeah, but the end song, the credits, it's like it's like a really bad hip hop rap of
80s piece of shit. It was like that song came out. I was like, oh, this is
Monster Squad.
Hey, you can't deny that song is very fitting for that movie.
They made it for the movie.
No, I mean the quality of that song to the quality of the movie.
Oh yeah, baby.
To give you an idea, at the end of it, I was like, wow, that was $4 well spent.
Woof.
Yeah.
Or ow. Hey everybody, welcome back to another week in the spooky season.
Yeah, episode 2 of this year's spooky season was 1987's Monster Squad.
The Monster Squad.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The Monster
Squad.
Which, strangely enough, actually has kind of higher rating.
Dude, it has the same as Hocus Pocus, and I was like, what?
Yeah, it's 6.9 IMDb, higher tomato meter rating, 56, and even a higher audience score, 77.
How?
I think over the last decade, the nostalgia and cult following of this movie has just popped off on the It's probably like increased some of this stuff.
I was going to say, is this that like thing we were talking about last week with the whole, would your kids like it?
Which I don't think.
No, but I mean, like, is there a lot of like gumption to it for the fact that it's nostalgic?
I think that's a really, I think this movie possibly has a stranger and maybe stronger nostalgic cult thing than a little bit of Hocus Pocus. And I just think that the circle of people that this movie reaches out to have a bigger presence online, if that's a better way to say, the best way for me to say it. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say?
Kind of, yeah.
Like, I feel like everybody who's like the cult following Hocus Pocus, they're all like, it's played on Freeform every year. It's like they have, it's more just like sit back and enjoy it. Yeah, that was a big drink of water. Or you just
try to quietly put it down.
We can make with the cameras now, when people seeing us like move around, a noise like that actually isn't as distracting. Although now people on the podcast listening, whatever, we got to sacrifice something. I don't know. But with like the Monster Squad, there's a lot more of like, hey, we're gonna do a midnight showing of this, or there's like a special showing where like the cast and like come and do stuff. With Hocus Pocus, like they had that one big reading, but that was like a televised event because Hocus Pocus was on a grander stage, you know, of Disney, while this is from two friends from UCLA, you know.
Oh yeah, you watched the whole documentary.
I did not rewatch it, but I have watched it actually a couple of times. Did you watch it?
Okay. Around it.
Yeah, I wasn't around to it. Yeah, so okay, well, let's get back with Monster Squad as well. So it released August 14th, 1987. It was number 124 domestic and worldwide because it's the 80s, you know. How many movies have you seen from 1987?
25.
32.
Oh.
Yeah. My age is starting to show. I also kind of figure like once we start getting like the earlier 90s and like 80s, like my tickers are probably going to just be a little bit higher.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's get into this because as I was saying, two friends from UCLA.
Oh, let me do my...
Oh, that's right, your synopsis. Right.
So, to give you an idea what this movie's about, led by Dracula, the classic monsters of old fumble around a small town looking for magic jewelry that will end the world. And fumble is definitely...
The logic of this movie.
The lack thereof.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it's like... It's very just bait. And then the creatures of the night will rule. And you're like...
Right?
Is that going to be like forever nighttime? Is that going to be...
They just want evil to control the world?
Like what does that mean for you?
For ghouls and goblins to run them up.
Mr.
Dracula?
Mr. Cula? Like, I don't...
Mr. Alucard?
I don't really... It's like, I really don't understand what we're doing here. I don't have the intelligence to fully explain what we're doing here.
Well, we'll get to that point as we go into our review, but first, let's start with directed by, well, I mean, I guess we can just say it was created by Fred Dekker and Shane Black. Directed specifically by Fred Dekker, who, directing-wise, has also directed show or movie before this called Night of the Creeps, which
I do want to watch.
Yeah. RoboCop 3. And
I don't remember RoboCop 3.
I don't remember RoboCop 3. And that's, I mean, and then like a handful of other stuff. He has had the less financial or less successful career than Shane Black because they also wrote this together.
Yeah.
And Shane Black, who we've talked about because he directed or wrote the screenplay and I believe directed Last Action Hero.
Yeah.
Or no, maybe it's directed by John McTiernan, but like he wrote the screenplay for Last Action Hero. Also wrote Lethal Weapon, which came out the same year. He wrote and directed Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. He wrote and directed The Nice Guys. And both Fred Dekker and Shane Black wrote the screenplay, and Shane Black directed 2018's The Predator. The really bad one with the big predator.
Okay, that's the big predator one. Yeah.
Which, oddly enough, after knowing this is that was a Shane Black and Fred Dekker product, it makes sense because of the humor that's in it, you know, and kind of like the nonsensical like stuff. I mean, yeah, this movie really just like it's. So there is a documentary about this movie that if anybody has watched this movie and is interested, it's called Wolfman's Got Nards. You can rent it on a Prime Video or a YouTube, but it's really fun, like hour and a half documentary that goes into like how this movie was created and made, like with Shane Black and Fred Dekker, who were just friends at film school in UCLA, and never really thought that this movie was going to take off, and then it did because it only started to be able to become a possible thing because Shane Black started to like get some like recognition for like his noticing for like Lethal Weapon and whatnot. So then he was able to like get Fred Dekker and be like, hey, we can make our Monster Squad movie.
Okay. But your scientists are so preoccupied with can we, they don't ask should we.
And they definitely should. 100% should have. I understand that this movie really isn't like that good, like, but there's also a lot of things that are really magical about it. Like, I still think the creature makeup and like costume makeup and design is fucking stellar for the 80s, late 80s. Like, Wolfman looks awesome. It's one of my favorite Wolfman designs.
I mean, it was a pretty solid transformation.
Yeah.
For the time.
And then also like an image that will forever be stuck in my mind is like Dracula half bat, half human, just in the like warehouse where he got shot.
Oh yeah. Actually, I meant to.
Well, so like I wrote down. So the creature design for this movie
I meant to write that
was
down.
a Stan Winston Studios, and specifically, which Stan Winston is like he's a very popular like makeup and like monster, well, not monster, but like makeup artist. That's worked with like James Cameron and Steven Spielberg and what have you. So they were able to just like get like just the studio to help them. And like the lead guy, his name is David Leroy Anderson, and he's worked on like Men in Black, Nutty Professor, Cabin in the Woods, American Horror Story are his top 4.
Okay.
So like this is like kind of his like, you know, origin story.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know what if he probably had stuff before, but like, you know, this is a person that has like, he had good, strong visions for it. Even like Gilman, that looks fucking great in this movie. And like, did you notice that in that moment when he's like crushing the cops' heads? Well, you know, whatever Suffolk, whatever the fuck that weird he's doing to them.
Whatever he's doing to
his
them.
like weird, his like tail is like kind of like swaying actually.
Well, I mean, it's like, you know, but like the little classic horror movie Easter eggs was cute and stuff, but I don't know. Sorry.
Wake up, man. You want to chug the rest of that Red Bull real quick? Oh wow!
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought.
You were saying like the
Oh yeah, like there's little like Easter eggs and everything like that. I don't know. I just couldn't get behind it. Like, and I had a memory of watching this when I was younger, but then watching it again, I was like, did I watch this? But the whole thing kind of feels like a fever dream. So like maybe I did, because one point leading to the next is all kind of, I don't know. But yeah,
I have a hardcore nostalgia for this movie.
Yeah,
because like this was we had it recorded on a VHS, and I watched this movie on repeat when I was a kid. I'd be like, "Mom, put on Monster Squad." She'd be like, "God, again?" I'm like, "Yeah." I loved this movie as a kid.
Yeah, so it's, yeah, like I was saying, you know, so it's Dracula, the Wolfman, Gilman, which is the creature from the Black Lagoon, ripoff, a mummy, and Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, because it's the classic Universal monsters.
Yeah.
Which I kind of had this idea, because you know how like they were trying to do like the dark monster universe with the Mummy with Tom Cruise, and that was so bad that they were like, never mind. I was kind of sitting there like, what if they like got all that together and then they did the Monster Squad, and all of a sudden a bunch of kids, like Stranger Things kids, comes out, and now they're fighting the Universal monsters in the Dark Monsterverse. That would be the only way I would accept that to be fully rebooted now. But yeah, let's really quick. Let's just discuss who's starring in this.
I had a really hard time with this one because I didn't know who anyone was until the way it was listed out. I was like, I'm not sure who's important.
Honestly, this movie stars a bunch of people that haven't really had much more of a career after this. So I think the biggest name that come out of this movie is Jonathan Gries, who you would recognize as being Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, that's who that was.
Yes.
I was looking at him like, God, why do I know you? Like,
because he can throw that football over the mountain, man.
or like, I mean, even the Count Dracula, Duncan Reger was an athlete and is an artist and is known for things besides movies.
Exactly. But then like you got like the person who plays the dad, who's a recognizable guy, Stephen Mocked. Like he's probably just like TV shows here.
The mom
there.
looked familiar.
The mom looked very familiar. Tom Noonan plays Frankenstein's monster.
That's the only person actually recognized.
And what did we do a movie with him?
Last Action Hero.
That's right. He's the Ripper.
He's the Ripper, yeah.
That's right. Oh, that makes perfect sense. Shane Black. Yeah, okay. I was trying to remember what movie we did with Tom Noonan, because I always go back to an episode of X-Files that he's in, which is one of my favorite episodes. And then, a sad story. The young gentleman that played Horace, he passed away when he was like 22. So there's actually like in like the showings, like the late night showings that they do of this movie, like when he's like, my name's not Fat Kid, it's Horace. Like everyone like chants that out or like repeats it with him because it's like in celebration of the kid's life.
Yeah.
Because it's like the only thing he ever like
really
did for like film and whatnot.
Oh, okay.
And then I think Ryan Lambert had a little bit of a career for who plays Rudy.
Mary Ellen Trainor.
Oh yeah.
I just know her as a Mrs. Walsh in the Goonies.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like these like it's weird. It's like there's a bunch of kids in.
That's the mother of this too, right?
Yeah. And then there's
she looks like a mother, very motherly.
Yeah. 80s.
No, that's actually the thing is like everyone's well cast in this. They look like the part that they fit.
Well, then it's also like, there's a lot of people that you just recognize from some random like that. Like she was in the Goonies.
And
for
then
15 minutes.
His cop partner, Stan Shaw.
Oh, the dick.
Yeah.
Smart ass.
Smart ass. Like, I'm not saying anything. Good.
Oh yeah, like Stan Shaw's in Cutthroat Island, which is
so you would recognize him,
Yeah.
It's like it's strange. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very weird.
It's like but also you got to like this is pretty much like a college, kids like. Also, to think about this came like just right out of like to the kids from college. It's kind of like almost like a college thesis statement in a weird way. Weirdly, like a huge like area of sets being used. You know what I mean?
Well, then and I like that Ryan Lambert was like the Kirkland brand Corey Feldman.
Yeah, right.
Like from Lost Boys.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it kind of looked like him.
I loved like the whole thing. It's like he's the cool kid. So like he's got the leather jacket. He's in middle school. He's 14, but he's like smoking a cigarette all the time. Mm-hmm. It's like what? Why? Like it's like this staple idea of like this. What is like these cliches of the 80s of like this is what the cool kid is like. He's smoking cigarettes and he's 14 and. And then like
using his boot to light his matches.
Yeah.
Making guns and making bullets in chemistry class.
Yeah, because that's how you make a bullet.
Just look at that.
Hey, man, eat your carrot.
Just the whole thing's a carrot.
It is. This movie is one giant carrot.
And I think that's where I draw the line. I can't do a movie. It's like Johnny Mnemonic. No, this is contender for my Spike.
Wow. No way.
Yeah.
No, it's not that bad.
It's pretty bad.
This movie's wonderful.
I hate to shit on your parade.
No.
This is terrible.
It's a really bad movie, but I love this movie.
Okay, that's fine. But you can't say that this is a good movie. It's not a good movie. It's not a good movie.
Dude, you might get some people getting upset at you as well because, yeah.
I don't fucking care. I'm entitled to my opinion.
Well, let's get into reviews then.
Okay. So on Metascore had a positive 8, mixed 5, and 1 negative. Now I'm just gonna try and feed the fire.
Oh my god, this is hilarious! It's like we have this world of people being like, it's not that bad, and Tommy's like, no, it's bad.
Yeah, I like it.
Bad movie.
91 out of 100. Jason Clark from Entertainment. Fred Decker's 1987 horror comedy is like totally the ultimate 80s movie. An agreeable, goofy Little Rascals meets the Goonies time passer. The movie is proudly anti-CGI.
Yeah.
And again, I never saw it, so I was kind of going in the dark, like these reviews.
Yeah.
So,
I think if you were to watch the Wolfman's Got Nards documentary, it might actually you might have a little bit more of a charm to it for you.
Another positive that I put down was staff not credited from film threat. It's every kid's dream to fight monsters, and in some ways, the Monster Squad helps us live out that fantasy. And it's a damn good film, chock full of horror movie references and nods to classic films that only the discriminable eye can catch. I really liked that because it's like even in the beginning, the little Easter eggs cracked me up, and I don't know if it's because I was catching them. And I was kind of like proud of myself. But even in the beginning, when you first meet Dracula and he's coming, he's waking up to do his nefarious plot. There's armadillos around.
Yeah.
Which that cracked me up.
Because it's
because like in the classic Bela Lugosi Dracula movie, if you don't know this, the general public didn't know what armadillos were because they're only in certain parts of the country and in more desert-like areas. So at the time, they're like, "Oh, these are really alien, supernatural, like weird monster creatures." So if you watch the original Dracula, just scattered around randomly are armadillos running around this Transylvanian castle, and I like that. Or even the little girl when you first meet her, she's picking the flower,
and it's like hark back to Frankenstein.
There's just these little things. And I really did like that. I thought that was really like fun, but so it's like definitely there's a lot of moments nodding to the old black and white, classic Hollywood
and those
monster movies.
They make a note of that in Wolfman's Got Nards, that a lot of this was also kind of like for them to like give a good nod to like the movies that influenced them as kids.
Yeah, and Dracula walks around with a cane with a silver wolf head on it, which is the original Wolfman. But then also the cane turns into like a
lightning rod
to wake up Frankenstein, and
because everything's got to fit together.
Yeah, totally. So for mixed, 50 out of 100, Hal Hinson at the Washington Post. Most of what's included in this unapologetically scrambled mixture of Goonies, Hardy Boy Adventures, Ghostbusters, and Abbott and Costello monster films is bad actors wandering around in bad makeup and rubber masks, and two kinds of kids. Cute and terribly noisy, smart alecky kids, and not so cute, noisy, smart alecky kids. I don't know which one I liked least.
That's good.
So I guess that's actually this one I picked because it is a very good like representation of how I feel about it. The film is very unapologetic, and it is this little like half-baked hodgepodge of all these different kind of like feels to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I'm just like
I disagree with the makeup. I really think the makeup of this movie is pretty well done, like in a lot of ways.
I was indifferent to. I mean, the one
I like that it's so like they didn't try to do like the only like special effects like green screen and blue screen or whatever is like the portal to limbo.
Oh, and the bat. There's one moment where the bat was some.
When he like turns every time he kind of turns into a bat.
Yeah, well, there's one moment he's flying. And
like when he flies out of the plane?
Yeah, and it just... No, not the plane.
Or is it when he's flying through the park?
The park, and it looks really like imposed on there, and it didn't really like feel believable.
It's very subtle, like very few of those, though. They did everything they could to make it in-camera effects.
Yeah. I mean, my biggest thing, and I know it's the classic like look and everything, but I really didn't like Dracula's look just because it looked so Halloween costume.
Well, that's what the Bela Lugosi Dracula looks like.
Yeah, but also the Bela Lugosi Dracula's in black and white.
Yeah.
But like with the bright red cape and, it was just, I don't know. I remember I had that costume.
The red velvet.
Yeah, I had that costume when I was 8.
Exactly. And that's the thing is that's the iconic Dracula, the Halloween costume.
No, I get it. I get it. I just didn't particularly like for it. Well, because even then it's like you said, the Wolfman was kind of cool. And I liked that it was like an actual Wolfman, not a werewolf.
Yeah.
You don't really see Wolfmen anymore.
Yeah.
You really just see werewolves.
Yeah, where they actually like turn more into like it's
more like
still like
dogs.
Can be like a quadruped.
Underworld. That's kind of like the thing now.
Yeah.
And for negative, Dave Keir at Chicago Tribune, crass but intolerable, bizarrely mixing glowing blacklit sentimentality and stomach turning violence and juvenile sex jokes. So.
Yeah. Oh, dude, the drop of the F word.
Whoa. Hard T.
I was like, whoa.
A lot.
Hey, it's the 80s.
A lot of hard T's.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Actually, can you actually say that bad one more time? I only paid attention to like one part of it that stuck out.
Dave Keir at Chicago Tribune. Crass, imponderable, bizarrely mixing glowing backlit sentimentality. It's a hard word for me to say. And stomach-churning violence and juvenile sex jokes. So it's crass, has bad sex jokes, stomach-churning violence, which I didn't really feel like it was that violent.
No, I mean...
It's violent, but it's not. I mean, maybe it's just
stomach-turning violence? This person sounds like a weenie. Sorry.
They sound like yeah, like I don't know, like I mean, yeah, it's violent, kind of, but I mean, is it because we're desensitized? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, really okay, I will say this, like, the violent moments that stuck out to me as a kid that I remember, like, kind of like, as a kid, like, it threw me back or like made me feel uncomfortable or anything, was definitely when it's Dracula is like half bat in the warehouse and he like opens up his wing and you see like the gunshot. As a kid, it looked a lot more gross than it actually is. Like in my mind's eye, I remember it just like, it looked like just torn apart and whatnot. Like, but then my imagination was going crazy with it.
But then looking back on it, you're like, oh, okay.
Oh no, that I see it now, I'm like, oh, it's actually, that's not that bad.
Yeah.
But and then also when Wolfman gets blown up, his like
just everyone's casually walking around with dynamite. I really appreciated that.
Well, the dynamite came from Dracula's car.
No, I know, no, but then suddenly the dad has one, but he's just like holding it. I was just like, it's a risky move, everybody.
Dynamite, yeah, it's
Run around dynamite.
But like with Wolfman, when he gets blown up and like his like finger, like his limbs start to move and whatnot, I remember that kind of like really standing out to me, like making me feel like scared and uncomfortable.
When he started reforming, I just out loud was like, that's just not fair.
After at the beginning when he gets shot and killed and then turns into the Wolfman in the car, and you see like the skin, like his like pulse, it's like his palm like pulsing and whatnot, that made me very uncomfortable. But like Wolfman was my favorite character in this movie growing up as a kid. It was Wolfman and Gil and the creature from Black Lagoon. I just loved looking at the design of the creature of Gilman. I was so intrigued by it, and that's actually, I think, because of this movie is why I fell in love with the creature from the Black Lagoon. Because after this movie,
he kind of looks like a predator.
A little bit, yeah, I can see that.
Now that I'm thinking about it, similar like mouth. I really do want them to
redo a creature, The Shape of Water.
I wasn't gonna say that, but that'd actually be kind of cool. Like another creature from the Black Lagoon. No, I was thinking like, I mean, because I don't know, maybe not, because the Mummy really did it. Like the Brendan Fraser.
The Brendan Fraser Mummy is fucking on point. I mean, also, the Mummy in this movie is super. Like,
but that's the thing, because that's the thing is like the constant, like just the bare minimum of the, like out of all the classic monsters, the Mummy was always like the biggest weenie to me, because you know it's a bag of dust,
and they kind of show that in this,
you know. But then it's like the Mummy, the 98, yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
no, let's just
let's just say
like 98 Mummy,
late 90s.
That is like one of the perfect blends of action and horror, because that Mummy is really...
And comedy.
Yeah, and comedy. But that Mummy is really terrifying, especially in the early stages.
Yeah.
When it's going around collecting its pieces.
Well, it's also like there's some like scary moments of suspense that's not even around the Mummy himself. Like when all of the beetles are like...
Yeah, the scarabs and
like that moment when it's like coming up the guy's like body. It's like that CGI isn't very good anymore for that.
Oh, it's very dated, yeah.
Yeah, but it's all... That's just a terrifying thing to think about, of like a beetle getting into your skin. And, like you're watching it climb up your body.
Yeah, like even the Mummy itself, when it's not fully regenerated, is pretty rough. I mean, I would even stick with like no, I'm not gonna say that. But yeah, I don't know. It was just like I would like a revisiting, because I mean, you know, we've had, especially because of the huge vampire werewolf thing. I mean, we've had plenty vampire and werewolf stuff. Let's go back to the other ones. Let's go like mess around with the other.
Some more Mummy. Well, I mean, we had a Mummy thing, you know, with Tom Cruise not too long ago.
Oh, we had a Wolfman. Like, but it's like, I mean,
so you're saying like go back and like the wolf, like, because you're saying vampires and werewolves
have just been really done a lot. I mean, even Wolfmen, I would.
I was gonna say like, well, I mean, but then that lends us with either Frankenstein's monster, so creation of, like, you know, reanimation of life, or Gilman. I don't know. That's like a name for somebody.
It is.
Yeah. Hello, Gilman.
Hello, Gilman. Got the report done? Well, because even like the
Yo, pickles. Oh no, extra pickles. That's right.
The the Invisible Man, like they took the concept and they like really like ran with it.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like you could kind of do the same thing with like a Wolfman. You could actually make it like a real like thriller, like
yeah. Well, I mean, so if we were to do if there was to be a new Wolfman, I'm just curious about this, and then we get back on topic with Monster Squad. Would you want it to be kind of like the Benicio del Toro, where it is set in proper time period, or would you want to see it in a modern day sense? And then, if that's so, how would you handle it as a gypsy curse?
People of Roma. I don't know. I think there's a kind of like romantic idea about having it in that kind of time period, because also then in like today's day and age, like some of the, I don't know, with cameras and stuff, it would kind of, I don't know, I feel like in today's day and age it wouldn't be great because there's cameras everywhere, there's cell phones with cameras, there's drones, and I don't know. I feel like if you were to do it today's day and age, it might be kind of hard to not make it like kind of cheeky. Like, I don't know. My first thought was well, look at someone on a rooftop. Like, look what I see. And there's like a random like wolf guy, like from an aerial view, like running around the city, and it'd be like kind of goofy looking. And I don't know. I feel like I would want it to be more of like a time period, but I'd want to make it more like a thriller.
Wasn't the Wolfman Benicio del Toro one like that?
A little bit. I haven't seen it forever. I remember liking it. I mean, the cast was good.
Yeah.
That's what I remember liking about it. But then because there's a lot of kind of like, the shadow kind of, you're not really seeing the mystery of the Wolfman. You're not really seeing him. And then by the end, I remember it gets real goofy.
Oh.
Like it's one of those last 10 minutes. You're like,
oh, rough.
But the last 10 minutes, it's like this movie was kind of like, a horror movie thriller where you're like, this guy's turning into a monster and he wants to stop it. Whatever. Last 10 minutes becomes an action movie, and it's like just a jarring, like, oh, okay, I guess we're watching Underworld in the 16th century or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
You're like, what? Like, what the hell just happened? But what about you? Would you want to do modern day, or do you want to do like period?
If you could find a way for modern day to be interesting, I see what you're saying with like drones and all that stuff.
I think cursed,
but I wouldn't put it in a suburban area.
Where would you do it?
I would still do it like somewhere like in the like off countryside, just have it still be modern.
Oh yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the town from Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of setting.
Yeah.
So like modern day, but like still kind of old world.
Because then you got to think of like, why would there be, someone of Romania with a curse around type thing,
Oh, what was that? What was that? They just actually, now that I'm thinking about it, they came out with that werewolf movie.
Oh,
like the dark comedy.
Oh,
what was that called?
Oh.
We both kind of liked it, if I remember correctly.
Did we watch it?
I watched it.
Oh, is it the one with the AT&T girl?
Yeah.
I didn't watch that yet.
Oh, you didn't?
I've been meaning to watch that. Actually, I should watch that this year.
Yeah, you should. You should watch it this
That's kind of like, because that's
spooky
if I remember correctly, it's written by one of the College Humor guys. I can't remember his name.
It's very Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Yeah, no, that's his type. Because he also, the one with the girl that played Storm Child, what was her name in The Boys? Stormfront. Yeah, the girl that played Stormfront.
The Nazi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She did this movie with the guy who wrote this Wolves Among Us.
That's a
video game. I just remember every time I saw the name of this.
It's something. What the hell is that movie?
Yeah.
Anyways.
But like he wrote that. He also did this one, acted and wrote in this movie that has Stormfront in it, and they kind of tell scary stories to each other.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
It's like campfire wise.
Yeah.
And it kind of like spirals into madness.
Yeah.
That was cool.
That's a good one. I really like that movie.
Those came around the same time. Yeah.
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 Okay, so we're really off topic for the Monster Squad because I don't think you want to talk about it.
No, I know, but I also did enjoy talking about the classic monsters. That was fun.
Well, so that's actually the thing that I really like about this movie is the classic monsters. But actually, when you do objectively look at this movie, there's a lack of logic. Also, like there's there's little moments where like you see the special effects that's happening and you're just like, I can't tell if that's a harken back to like the classic or if they just didn't have the budget to do something better. Because like at the very, very beginning when Dracula, he's coming out of his coffin, all the bats that are floating around,
they're just like little red
they
lights.
literally look like just prop bats, just like it's like the way the wings are flapping is not in a type of
it's a rubber thing on a string and they're going like that with it.
Oh yeah, it's really also like because bats can't just like float like that. I don't think they can only like glide and stuff. Can they just like what animal actually with wings can just like fly in one single spot? Yeah,
hummingbird can.
Yeah, and it's because of how fast their wings can actually go. So there's that thing. Also, one thing that I kind of realize, I do like this movie does like it sets itself up on you know what kind of movie it's going to be with its opening scrawl. How it's like it talks about like do
you also read those out loud in a voice?
Yeah,
okay.
Or in my head in a voice. But like it like kind of does like this serious like explanation of Van Helsing wanting to like stop Dracula, all this stuff. It's complete like nonsensical. Like this is not the Van Helsing Dracula story at all.
No.
But then like as this opening scroll happens, it ends with they blew it.
Yeah, well, yeah, to give they had one mission to destroy Dracula and his minions and save the world from eternal darkness. ... They blew it.
So like just like as soon as you get into like a modern colloquialism of like from like all of that, that it's like, okay, so there's going to be humor in this.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like sets you up with that this prologue of them doing it. But then like you don't even know what happens at the conclusion other than like apparently they failed.
Yeah, and also like
you don't see Van Helsing get sucked into limbo.
You do.
Do you?
You do.
Okay.
No, but it's also like Dracula's like
just not
there.
Yeah.
He's just not
right?
there.
It's like Van Helsing, why did you activate limbo
without Dracula there?
Yeah.
Or is it like you need because they kind of like imply that you have to do this reset every 100 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But is it like Dracula knew like, oh, well, they already kind of did it, so I'll wait till next time to my turn.
Yeah.
Well, but that's my problem. I have no problem eating the carrot but in disbelief. But even then too, it's like when then we meet the kids, we meet the Monster Squad, and they're the Goonies, they're the nerds, and blah blah blah. And then we cut to an airplane. Oh, that guy's in the Phantom.
The guy that pulls the pilot.
Yeah, that guy's.
He's actually recognizable. I can't remember. Like I meant to look him up.
That's so funny. Randomly, I picked the trivia question, and I just realized that guy's in the Phantom. I wonder if that's like a weird little subconscious thing.
It might be.
But so they're flying, and they're man, I hate flying cadavers. And you're like, okay,
really on the nose dialogue. Yeah,
well, at least they don't like ask for more peanuts and complain to you, right? Hey, it ain't that bad of a job. Oh, you right, it's not that bad of a job.
I like how they just became New York Italians for you.
And then like, oh, what was that? I'll go check it out. I'll be right back. And he goes back there, and then there's like that weird little fight, and then he like is like, oh, I got the upper hand, and he pulls the lever to drop the cargo,
and then Dracula floats.
Yeah, and he floats, and then he turns into a bat, and he flies out, and it just happens to be like above the city.
Yeah,
that they needed it to be.
It's like like Dracula planned for it to like be dropped right there.
Yeah, it's like at that at that moment,
my lip is bleeding.
Is it really?
Yeah.
At that moment, like why didn't Dracula just open it himself and then fly? It was just like shit like that. I was just like, all right, this is what we got going on.
I just want to look over my notes really quick. Sorry. Yeah. So that's the thing is like. Yeah, it's just like I guess it's like since I guess that was a little piece of lore I was missing when I was thinking about this. Like, this is only a thing that can happen. Like, supposed to be able to only happen like once every 100 years.
Yeah.
So
and like that was the like I just.
But then like, why is this stone in this town?
Because it was Van Helsing's house.
But I thought that all that stuff at the beginning took place in Transylvania.
It did.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're right.
What was the name of the road that they're on?
Shadowbrook or something like
Like
that.
666 Shadowbrook Lane.
Shadow Banes. Yeah, something real. I hunt vampires. I'm gonna live on Shadow Bane. Like, all right.
It is like it's just like all of a sudden like all this stuff is happening and it's summoning all of the evil.
I was cracking up in the beginning when the young girl is doing the ritual and Van Helsing is just screaming at this child. Read it! Fucking read it! Jeez. Shaking her.
And then like Dracula is just appearing and he's like, and now let evil commence, or whatever he says. And now the evil begins.
And he gets the band back together.
And Wolfman.
Oh yeah. So how did he become a Wolfman?
He's just been a Wolfman.
Just coincidentally around the time Dracula? Is it like Dracula's presence is... I mean, that's the...
I think he was... I think what that whole thing is, like, he's not from the town. The Wolfman has brought him here.
I mean, that's the Van Helsing thing. Like, the movie Van Helsing.
Mm-hmm.
Is like when a vampire's around, like, the werewolf gets, like, awakened.
Oh,
because
interesting.
Like,
I didn't know that.
They're...
That's in the movie Van Helsing?
I believe so. I think it's that movie. But they're like natural predator. They're natural enemies. So when there's a vampire around, maybe that's not. There's something. God, there's so much vampire werewolf shit.
Yeah, there is.
There's some probably have to be like Supernatural or Vampire Diaries because my partner watches.
I mean, so there is a lot of missed logic in this movie, but there is like the cute stuff, like the kids, how they band together, and like all of their monster knowledge is going to be what saves this town. Although I don't understand why the mummy just went into this kid's closet for just to spook him and then leave. Like,
yeah, there's
like weird like moments of like missed logic like that.
What's that?
But then like moments of like fun cutesy stuff of like the kids are gonna like they're the only ones that believe the monsters are around.
Well, yeah, but it's also like there's this feeling of either scenes had been cut, like we had an A, a B, and a C, and we took out A and still had the B and like the end of C, where you're like, okay, like, or like the mummy in the closet thing. That's what I mean. Or we put that in there just to put it in there.
It was in they put it in there, just put it in there. Type
yeah. Or it's like they had an idea, but they're like, oh, let's still keep the kid in the closet scene. But it's like, okay, but why is he that? No, just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
It's a funny moment with the dad, like, oh, the monster, oh.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, I was like, I did get one jump scare. I can't remember what it was, but
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, maybe I just didn't know the movie, so yeah.
It was just like, someone popped out, and I was just like.
Oh, is it when Wolfman popped out with dad with the dynamite?
Maybe?
Or Wolfman popped out when Wolfman. Also, I love Wolfman pops out. And he doesn't act like a wolf, like just gonna attack you. He's like, oh, I'm a wolf. I'm gonna get you. Oh, I'm gonna get you now. Kick him in the nards. Yeah.
Spooky.
When can I get it?
When can I get it?
But no, like like when they're in the house and like Wolfman just appears and Wolfman turns like snarling at Sean, then turns around and snarls at Horace, and Sean's like, kick him in the nards. He doesn't have nards. Kicks him. Wolfman has nards. It's moments with this where it's really like this is a movie for kids, really.
Yeah, I mean, there's even like when the Wolfman's coming this way, Dracula's coming this way, and the three wives are coming this way.
Yeah, the brides of
and he's like hitting the wall, and he's like,
and Horace's like, what are you doing? He's like, looking for a switch.
Well, he goes, haven't you ever read Hardy Boys? There's always a switch, And then he
yeah.
And I was actually kind of surprised because when they hit the arm, they fall through a trap door, but earlier it made the wall move. But Dracula moved it up. They moved it down.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm kind of blown away. They actually
have that attention
to this one weird moment, that attention to detail.
This is the beginning of Shane Black. Come on. There's got to be promise somewhere.
But like, just like, imagine like a stagehand just being like, so, quick note.
I mean, there's actually a person on set that's supposed to be doing that. It's called the script supervisor. My lip won't stop bleeding.
Do you need to take a second?
No, I'm just sucking it up.
Yummy.
Hey, we're talking about vampires. And then by the end of this movie, how it's like kind of all wrapped up in like a pretty little. Also, like Frankenstein's monster. There's no reason to put him into the fucking limbo. That's literally just like unneeded added drama just to like make you feel sympathetic for him.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know. It was a weird, like, I don't know. It was the whole Frank thing was just really bizarre. It was like,
it's really sad when he sees the mask of himself and he throws it down. Feels scary.
It's like I don't know, like. He's supposed to go get these kids, and they don't give him the journal, kill him. And then
the scary German guy is such a fucking interesting cliche. With like the one, you actually like realize that he was with his tattoo.
Yeah, well, that too. That was another weird little detail that it was like, I know monsters, and you find out that he was definitely like
in a camp.
He was alive during the Holocaust and in a camp, and that was like, because then like. They show that, and it kind of is one of those moments where you're like, okay, where's this leading? And then it just doesn't go anywhere.
Also, like, scary German guy is like when he drives up with Phoebe, just when they all by chance meets in the middle of the road after like the house and whatnot. Yeah. And scary German, like Phoebe's like, I got scary German guy, and he's like, let's go back to my house and eat pie.
Or Dracula. Jumps out of a plane and then
it's like, how does Dracula know Sean has this diary? Because the mom bought it at an auction for whatever it was
from that house.
From the house, yeah. But like, Dracula calls the house specifically asking for Sean.
He's a vampire. He also has a ghost hearse. Which I was like, where the fuck did the ghost? Sorry,
I'm a good cop. I do my job. I'm good at my job.
Where did the ghost hearse come from?
Why not? It's Dracula.
Like, I don't know. It's like that Matrix thing I brought up. I don't know.
And then he goes and like blows up their like clubhouse and stuff, and he's like, meeting's adjourned.
Yeah, I'm like, what a dick. He's like, they're not in there. You're just adding insult to injury. God, I had something I really wanted to bring up. It was, something else that was just cracking me up too, because maybe they said this, I doubt it, but the hunt for a virgin to read the spell. I'm like, y'all are 12, aren't you all virgins?
But virginity in this sense is only a female's virginity.
Yeah,
which is
Well, they never say that.
No,
they just say we need.
It's just assumed because it's,
is that a thing?
100%. Yeah, no, like so that's where like a lot of. Just the sexism in general and a lot of just like lost lore or like old lore is like men necessarily can't lose a virginity because like virginity is tied to innocence and we want young women to keep innocence. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, but also
it's a very toxic.
And also just one of the definitions too. So definition 1 is a person who has not had sexual intercourse, a person who's inexperienced as in a usually specified sphere of activity. I'm a virgin to whatever. 2, an unmarried woman devoted to religion, like Virgin Mary. That whole thing in the Bible, like what that actually meant. And an absolute chastised young woman, an unmarried girl or woman. A female animal that has never copulated. So
yeah,
that's
it's an antiquated like point of view of it.
They went with definition 2.
Yeah,
not definition 1.
Yeah, it's very much of an antiquated like point of view of it, but like virginity, especially through like for we need to sacrifice the virgin or we need to do this. It's always attached to female.
I'm not thinking that when because you find out the sister's not a virgin. You could have made that a joke where like
I mean they did make it a joke.
One of the what's the bad boy's name?
Rudy.
Like that Rudy becomes like the only one like available and he has to read it and it makes it like clear that even though he's been like pretending like he's a ladies' man that he's actually a virgin too and he has to like fess up to his friends about it via this end of the world situation. Like that'd be a funny joke.
Yeah.
Where like no one's available, so he just starts doing it, and then it works, and everyone kind of looks at him like, huh?
All of these other younger like these kids are like supposed to be like 10 or 11.
They're
they're in elementary school.
Yeah, they're like what, like 7th grade, and he's like in 8th or 9th or something like that.
No, they're like in like they're supposed to be like 3rd or 4th grade.
Oh, they're big.
They're like because they're all like they talk about like Rudy like, oh no, Rudy's in middle school. They don't say high school, middle school. Mm-hmm. And that means they're in elementary school, which caps off at like 10. So they're like in the 4th grade.
I just did things with Billy. That doesn't count. What do you mean that doesn't count?
These kids are definitely like fucking like 12, 13 child actors, but in the world of the movie, they're supposed to be younger.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have much more you want to really talk about with this? Or I love the Universal Monster thing. This, this for me, this is definitely. I love this movie. The nostalgia of it for me. It's one of my favorite movies as a kid. I don't think this movie will actually live for younger generations. I think our generation of film goers and cult enjoyers, I think this movie's gonna end with us.
Well, I think that too, and also because of the younger generation, there are problematic things in it that the younger generation.
Oh yeah,
the
virgin thing, the use of the F word,
the woke people.
Yeah,
it's like there's no forgiving it for that kind of thing. Yeah. And I think that might be a lot of it too, because like that word, especially when I was younger, that word was thrown around a lot.
Oh yeah, I mean, it wasn't until like the late 2000s when people were really just saying like, or like really putting down like, hey, this is actually really insulting.
And it's also like in certain areas, even in our like where we live too, we hear people say it to people all the time.
Yeah,
not all the time, but you'll still hear it.
Every once in a while. But at that point, when we hear it, it's kind of more. It's being used as a derogatory slur.
It's a particular type of dude.
Yeah, it's not being used as in like hey, I'm just calling you that because I think because that's just what the slang of like you're an asshole or whatever or idiot is.
It's a very particular type of dude.
Did you? So oh my god, there's this commercial from back in the day that Hillary Duff it's like don't say gay. Mm-hmm. And it's like these two girls are like trying on tops, and her friend's like, "Oh my god, that's so gay." And then they're like, blah, blah, and then Hillary goes like, "Hey, you shouldn't say that." Hillary comes out of the racks. No, literally, I should show you this. It's like, and then she just recently did like a TikTok like revoicing it and whatnot, and it's just like, it's so weird that we had a goddamn pretty much PSA announcement from Hillary Duff being like, "Hey, don't say gay. If you're going to say something stupid, say it's stupid."
Why Hillary Duff?
I don't know. It's really funny to me.
Interesting.
But actually, a lot of people have also like, when it came out, people are like, yeah, no, like listen to Hillary Duff.
Yeah, no, totally. Oh, excuse me.
But yeah, I don't know. Kids aren't going to like this moving forward. This movie can die with me. Bury all of it with me. Where are you at for on a rating then?
2 out of 5.
2 out of 5 carrots.
2 out of 5 carrots. And it's like I always want to give like an explanation too, because I liked it feels like a Halloween movie in the sense of like the costumes and all that kind of stuff. And there was a couple little like
I always wanted to have my friends and I dress up as Universal monsters, and it's kind of because of this movie.
That'd be fun. Mm-hmm. We need more friends. But
I'm pretty sure we get Michelle and M down for that.
No, M. I don't think Michelle. Definitely not Kramer. Martine.
And we need new friends.
we could ask Martine, but I can kind of picture what he would dress up like. The costumes are fun. Like there's a couple jokes in there, but all in all, I thought it was bad. Like it's on the movies we reviewed on doing this the last couple of years. It's on. I'm probably not gonna watch it ever again.
And I like to watch it at least once a year.
I would watch the documentary just out of curiosity.
I think you would like the documentary, just like because you said you just like to know the history.
Yeah, like when you brought it up, I was like, no, it's just cool to see behind the scenes. I like any of that kind of stuff,
It's like the movies that made us is really fun to watch because
I love all that kind of stuff, I love the 90s and toys that made us.
I mean, even though like yes, I love this movie. Like in my childhood heart, this is a 5 out of 5. But In reality, I would actually give it like a 3, maybe like 2.5, 3. So
yeah, solid 2 for me.
yeah, because like it's really got the script really has got a lot of loose ends.
It just doesn't make sense. Like
yeah, but what's interesting is like, well, for me, I guess like thinking back on it is like, yeah, it doesn't make sense, but I never really noticed that until like really this most recent viewing. I think I kind of realize it every single time, but I just kind of forgive it.
Well, it's like really, it's this timeline for the movie, so minute 1 to end time, and it just feels like there's like, so they had this timeline, and in that timeline was, so Dracula is gonna get all the monsters together to end the world.
He's bringing back evil.
That's the tagline, and then in that timeline they just start dropping ideas, like throughout it, without actually like weaving them together.
Gremlins 2, the new batch. So have you seen the Key and Peele sketch where it's like the producers, like all the writers room, like talking about like doing Gremlins 2, and this guy just comes in and just kind of like how they got like all the weird different gremlins. It's kind of like I'll show it to you. Apparently with the writer, or Joe Dante, was like, that's kind of how it actually happened.
Oh really?
Yeah, he's like, because like it's like it goes through, like you don't like when you like just pinpoint, like, yeah, there's gonna be a gremlin, a spider gremlin, an electricity gremlin, a cross-dressing or gremlin, whatnot, and
trans gremlin.
It then like
what that was.
It like goes through like the circle and whatnot, and like the head writer in the sketch is like, no, none of this is gonna be in the movie, and then it pauses and it's a disclaimer, all of this was actually in the movie.
All of this was in the movie. Dun dun. But yeah, that's where. Yeah, show it to me later.
Yeah,
that's all right.
So yeah, you say 2, I say 2.5, 3. Yeah, 2.5, I guess. Well,
I know.
Can we settle on a 2.5 when we actually do the post? If we were to do a post like that, you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anywho,
I'm not agreeing to that. I'm saying I understand what you're talking about.
That's fine. Well, I guess next week is Friday the 13th, isn't it?
The movie.
Yeah. Yeah. There isn't a Friday the 13th this month.
Is there not?
No, because the first Friday is the 7th.
Oh yeah, it's Friday the 14th.
So close.
So yeah, well, no, yes,
but that's not. But it's not releasing around then.
No, okay. Bummer. Releasing Friday the 13th on Friday the 14th. Yeah, so we're gonna do Friday the remake.
The 2008 or 9, I want to say.
Okay.
Which I didn't realize. I always think it was like the early 2010s. But like, no, that came out when I was still living in Spokane. So.
Oh. All right. Well, yeah. So join us for that next week. So yeah. So this next. So we're doing like 2 parters. We did like 2 kid related ones. But now we're going to be doing 2 remakes with starting with Friday the 13th remake, and then we're going to do the Carrie remake.
Yeah.
So yeah, join us for that. Like, follow, subscribe, Instagram,
YouTube, like and subscribe.
Oh yeah, these are. I forgot.
Got it. The cameras now.
I completely forgot about.
Yeah.
that.
Hey, you're getting used to just having it be there.
I hope I didn't do anything.
I bit my lip, apparently.
All right. So thanks for listening.
Yep.
This is Tommy.
This is Jacob.
I was trying to.
I am Ron Burgundy.
We did all the plugs, right? Yeah. Whatever.
I mean, Patreon if you want to, support us.
Help support. Yeah. So this is Tommy.
And this is Jacob.
This is Tommy and Jacob's mixtape.